Hey everyone, it's Eric Songer with What's Happening in the Chaska Middle School West Band Department Weekly Podcast. This is for June 7th, 2019, and we are on the first day of summer break, and how good does it feel? What a year 2018-19 has been, and just to kind of wrap things up this year, this is our Year in Review podcast where I go through all the things that we did this year. I will elaborate on a few of them, and in other cases just mention them, or this podcast would be super long. And this year has had some really incredible highs and some very low lows. And just, to look at a couple of the highs just off the top, and we'll go into these in a little more detail later, but the garage band trip to Chicago, the 8th grade band trip, and the rhythm section trip to Eau Claire, Wisconsin, the District 112 Jazz Festival with Grace Kelly, just some really incredible experiences there. And then, of course, losing two friends, our peer Jenna Paschke and my colleague Gina Ford. So just some really tough times this year. But we really came together as a school and as a music program, and just so very happy with the students here. And another big, huge, great thing this year was the addition of my colleague, Ms. Idell, and as well as our new orchestra director, Ms. Rapke. So very fortunate to have those two joining us this year. And we have a great team here at Chaska Middle School West, and we also have some really great students. All right, so let's start the rundown of all the incredible things that we did here this year in 2018-19. Started all off with the first day and second day of the school year with our first day rock concert when I was joined, Ms. Idell and I were joined by my wife Heidi Songer on keys, Christopher on bass, Kai Brewster on guitar, and we had two different drummers. Some of you got to see Kev Mills on the set, and some of you got to see my good friend Dave. Dave is one of the drummers in Power Tap, Dave Kodke, and so very cool way to start things off by having a big rock concert at in our band room for everybody. After school classes, we kicked things off with the School of Rock class this year, which was a blast, and the marching band. And the marching band had two really cool homecoming parades that they performed in, both the Chanhassen Homecoming Parade and the Chaska Homecoming Parade. Relatively good weather for both. Both were fairly cool. The Chaska one a little bit more on the sunny side, but the band sounded great, even though the weather was a little bit on the cool side. We had a couple great clinicians near the beginning of the year. We were joined by Addison Egan, who was a finalist on The Voice, and she FaceTimed us and talked a little bit about her career and getting onto The Voice. And by the way, I just found out that she is touring this summer, opening for Bob Seger. So what a cool thing for Addison. And then we also got to see Pete Winslow, and Pete Winslow is one of these incredible human beings, was born with no arms, and plays trombone at a very high level, plays competitive soccer at a very high level, and just a super nice guy. And so he came and talked to us and played a duet with Ms. Idell, and that was super cool to have him with us. Our first honor experience of the year was Small Ensemble Day in St. Anthony, and we had Aaron and Amanda and Sabrina. This was a 7th grade event. All three of those wonderful musicians participated at that event in October. Our rhythm section had an amazing year, and it started off with our first performance at the Walkathon in October, Walking on the West Side. A couple other after-school groups that were just crushing early in the year. We had our Hip Hop Academy class and our beginning guitar. We had DJs throughout the year playing for 6th grade party, playing for breakfast, for lunch, 5th grade visits, Evening with the Stars. So really great job by our DJs this year. And we also had an incredible Veterans Day performance where our orchestra played. A couple of our choirs sang, our 7th grade band performed, and John and Hannah played taps. And so that was a very special day as we celebrated our veterans, and a lot of veterans came out for that, a lot of local dignitaries, and I was so proud of all of our students for their appreciation of veterans on that day. Our sixth grade trip to Orchestra Hall was a blast. I still remember we have this great picture of all of us posing next to Charles Lazarus, who's a friend of mine, who's one of the trumpet players in the orchestra, and super cool to see him as he was coming in to play that concert as we were walking in. So, and the orchestra sounded absolutely phenomenal, as they always do. So what a great experience for our sixth graders. Our winter band concert was special. The sixth and seventh graders sounded great. Eighth graders did a tribute to Jenna by performing "The Climb," which was performed at her funeral, and then we did just an open donation for Mrs. Ford's family, and Mrs. Ford, who would pass away actually the very next day. We raised over $3,000 for her family, which they are using to take a family trip to Disney World this fall. And so how cool is that we all stepped up to do that. And a week later, we had a tribute concert for her over at the high school, which a lot of our high school students performed at. And then we had a run / walk around the dome where a lot of our students came and performed, and that was very special to have them do that. Also in December, we had our Eden Prairie Mall Christmas trip for the 7th and 8th graders, which was always a blast as usual, and our 6th graders caroled around the building. Our garage band, their first gig was Rock in the Suburbs, which was out in Eden Prairie at Pim Arts High School, and they did a great job at their first performance. Right before that, our 8th graders in garage band who wanted to got to go to the Jingle Ball concert at Excel Energy Center and go backstage and see some of the performers back there, and that was super cool. After that, we auditioned for our talent show, and then we had the talent show in January, and once again, the 8th graders did a great job at that show. We had some wonderful hosts, some incredible performers who auditioned and made the show. Our rhythm section did a great job as the house band, and the garage band, country band, 8th grade jazz band all did a wonderful job performing, and then all the students who performed on the various different committees did a really nice job putting that talent show together, and we raised about $1,500 through that talent show. We had our rocket concert right at the end of January, and again we raised money, this time for Pennies for Patients, for kids with childhood cancers, and super cool to raise money for that. I actually wrote a Rocket magazine for that, first one I've done in many, many years, and also sold some of the older editions and made some money for Pennies for Patients for that. And the Rocket concert featured our garage bands and our country band, and also some of our DJs and our visual artists, so it was a very neat evening. Then we had 3 students, Lucas and Natasha and Kyle, 3 7th graders, go to the Eau Claire Honor Band performance, which was also, actually it was the same day as Rocket, and they had a really cool experience getting to do that. Then one of the most special nights of the year was the District Jazz Festival in early February, and this year's guest clinician was amazing. It was Grace Kelly, saxophone player, vocalist from New York City, and she was so great with the kids, and she sounded amazing. Just a young up-and-coming star, and she was the last one to leave the building, taking pictures and signing autographs and selling merchandise, and even went out and hung out with the directors afterwards. So what a wonderful person, and it wouldn't be the it wouldn't be the last time that we would be able to see Grace during the course of the year. And of course, all the jazz bands and rhythm sections sounded really good at that event as well. Our country garage band tour was the next week on a Wednesday. Our tour took us to Carver Elementary School, and then to Gustavus Adolphus College, and then to the garage. And we also stopped at 8 and just had some really wonderful performances, had a really good time hanging out with each other. Right after that was the State Honor Jazz Band performance, which one of our 7th graders, Gordy, was the drummer for that group. So proud of Gordy. He had a great year, and they performed at the Minnesota Music Educators State Conference at the Convention Center in mid-February, and sounded outstanding. And then after that, boy, there were so many things after the winter break, so many really cool events going on, and it was just one thing after another. It was like one every week or even more a week. The 6th grade band took their annual tour, and we went to La Academia and Bluff Creek and Clover Ridge and had lunch over at Chaska Commons, and they did a wonderful job performing. And then we had the Regional Honor Band in Mankato, which featured 7 of our students. I'm probably going to mess this up, but let's see if I can remember all I don't have this written down. See if I can remember it off the top of my head. We had Jennifer and Anna and Max, Hope, Audrey, Abby, and Sabrina all performed at the Regional Honor Band this year in Mankato at Mankato West High School. So really proud of all those kids. And then we had the University of Minnesota Jazz Festival, which our 7th and 8th grade jazz bands went to. Had a great clinic there and got a chance to perform. Then we went over to Sky Zone and jumped around for a while. That was a super fun day. Then there was the Tri-State Honor Band in Iowa, which we sent some students to. Again, let's see if I can name these off the top of my head. We had one 8th grader, Abby, and then some 7th graders, Olivia, Caitlin, Karina, Lily, Rogine, and Josiah all went down and performed at the Tri-State Honor Band in Iowa this year. It's a really fun honor band festival featuring kids from Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota. A new thing that we did this year, we took the rhythm section over to the Garage recording studio, and we recorded 4 of our Scott Bradley covers, actually 3 Scott Bradley covers, and then we did a Paramore, Still Into You, and it was really fun to record the crew. We had a great sound tech, Rob Frost, who would later come out and do a clinic with us, and we just had a really good time doing an actual live recording session. So cool to be able to have the kids have that experience. Then we took all of our wind ensembles to the Mall of America and had them perform. We had 12 7th and 8th grade wind ensembles this year who all learned anywhere from 3 to 5 songs, and we performed. Each group had a chance to perform some of those songs on stage at MOA, cheer each other on, and then get a chance just to kind of hang out at the mall. So that was a very fun day. We did 2 fundraisers this year. For the first time, we had a mattress sale where we raised over $7,000, and we had a Culver's night where we raised almost $500. So that was fun and a great way to raise money for our middle school music program. Evening with the Stars was insane as usual. All the orchestras played, all the choirs sang, all 12 wind ensembles performed. We had a woodwind quintet perform. We had some of the talent show performers do another performance. We had DJs. We had an alumni jazz band. We had all 3 jazz bands. We had the rhythm section all performing on one night on 4 different stages around Chaska Middle School West. Incredible night, also very tiring, but very fun and fulfilling. When the 5th graders visited, we had the rhythm section and DJs perform. We had our solo and ensemble in April this year over at Chaska Middle School East, and we had about 100 students, a little under 100 students from the Middle School West Band program perform and get a rating at that festival this year, so proud of those kids. We had the rapper Agape come out and do a master class for us. The State Honor Band was in Shakopee this year, and we had 3 students in the State Honor Band, Keegan on Barry sax, and for the first time in my 22 years, we had 2 7th graders. We had Aaron on bass clarinet and Sabrina on French horn, and there were also some other students from Pioneer Ridge and East that made the State Honor Band. That was directed by my good friend Chris Gleason, so it was great to catch up with Chris, and really a pleasure to have or an honor, I should say, to have our students get a chance to work with him. We did our annual bowling trip in April, and then our 7th grade band trip to a band festival at Southview Middle School in Edina, where we had a chance to play and listen to some other middle school bands, get a clinic, go out to EP Mall for lunch. So that was a super fun time for our 7th graders. We had the Eau Claire Jazz Festival, which was actually that same day and same weekend. So when I was at Southview with the 7th graders, Ms. Zidell was off to Eau Claire to do the Eau Claire Jazz Festival, where once again we got to see Grace Kelly and the Airmen of Note and New York Voices and hang out in downtown Eau Claire, which they call 52nd Street the night of the Jazz Festival because they make it look like New York City back in the day when there are all these jazz clubs. And then after staying overnight and doing a little swimming, we went back to campus and got a chance to play. Got a clinic from my good friend Matt Canzera, who I went to school with. So that was another treat to have the kids work with that special of a person. And some more performances and clinics. So a really fun festival there in Eau Claire. All right, I'm getting near the end, just so you know. We had our 2nd year band festival, actually the same day as the Eau Claire Jazz Festival, the day after the 7th grade band fest, and that was for some of our top 6th graders. And once again, let me see if I can name the 6th graders who participated in that. We had on clarinet, we had Caleb, and on saxophone, we had Davey. On trumpet, there was Harrison and Brianna, and on trombone was Samuel, and on percussion was Connor. So congratulations to all those students for doing the 2nd year honor band over at Chan High School. regional honor band, I should say, run through MBDA. Probably the biggest, coolest event of the year was our garage band trip to Chicago, Illinois, May 2nd through the 5th. First time I've done an extended trip of more than 2 days with a music group, and we took 28 students, 21 of them in middle school, 7 of them in high school. I think I'm pretty close on that number. And we went on a nice coach bus through Bob Rogers Travel and Boyd Bus Company, and we went down to Chicago. And the first day, hung out at Navy Pier. It was kind of a chilly night, but we had a good chance to hang out and eat some good food at Navy Pier, and then go back to the hotel, do some swimming. The next day was just out of this world. We went to the Chicago Recording Company recording studios. Got there right after Chance the Rapper had done a session, got a tour, got to hear kind of how they do what they do there. That was just awesome for our students to see. And then after that, we went to Hard Rock Cafe, and after we ate lunch, we got to perform at Hard Rock. That was followed by going over to the John Hancock Building, what's formerly known as the John Hancock Building, and went up to the 94th floor where we did the 360 tilt, where you can kind of tilt over the city and see the great views. And then we got a chance to perform up high, which was really, really neat. And then after that, we went to Giordano's Pizza, got some good Chicago pizza, and then finally we got to go see Hamilton. So really, really incredible day. The next day we got up and went and checked out Six Flags Great America amusement park, where we got a chance to perform and also ride the rides. And then we went to a place called Andy's Jazz Club, where we got to see a really cool jazz group play and got a great dinner. Went back to the hotel, a little more swimming. Next day got up, went out to Millennium Park, got to see the Bean, and then ate at Splitsville and got to do, or sorry, not Splitsville. What's the other one? Pinstripes, and then did a little bowling and headed back. So pretty incredible day, or not day, but 4 days with the garage bands, and they performed awesome. We had 3 bands. They just did some really, really great performances. So definitely a highlight of the year, that Chicago trip. All right, moving on. So the next day we got back, we took the mariachi band and played at Rey Azteca Restaurant in Chanhassen, and they had a great performance. We were supposed to, 2 days later, have the pop ensemble perform. We got rained out, so a week later we performed at Taste of Chaska, a beautiful day outside in downtown Chaska, and a good chance for the pop ensemble to perform. Had a lot of other guest artists near the end of the year. I already mentioned Rob Frost, record producer, engineer. We had Dan Musselman, local keyboard player and teacher, also recording artist. Great, great guy. And then we also had Ian Allison, who is a touring bass guitar player, plays with Eric Hutchinson, really talented bass guitar player, and another super sweet guy. And then also Jeff Cantos, who is the music teacher at Carver Elementary School, but also an incredible performer and singer and music technology guru. So the kids got a chance to see some really great artists here this spring. We had our spring band dinner and a concert. The 8th graders had a spaghetti dinner in which our woodwind quintet played, and one of our wind ensembles, Rose and Quartz, which is Anna, Max, and Jeannie, performed. And then after that performance, we had our 8th grade concert, followed by our 7th grade concert and 6th grade band concerts. And then our 8th grade band trip to Eau Claire was phenomenal. We took that a day off the last Friday, not the last Friday of the school year, one of the Fridays in May, and got a chance to go and work with Phil Ostrander, who is one of the best music educators on this planet, one of the directors at UW Eau Claire. Had a chance to hear Middle School East play, had a tour of the campus, got to find out a little bit about college life, and then we headed on over and had a really fun time at Metropolis, where we went in the water park and jumped on trampolines and went on go-karts. Super fun time there. It was our year to do the Memorial Day Parade, but unfortunately the Memorial Day Parade was rained out this year, but we did get to go perform as a marching band to Valley Fair, and we had about 70 kids from our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade band sign up and do the parade at Valley Fair. And then we had our honor band tour for 7th and 8th grade the last Friday of the school year, and finally our honor band concert just this past Monday. So there you go. That took almost 20 minutes to talk about all the absolutely incredible things that we did this year. So I want to thank everybody for a really nice year. I want to encourage you to continue to do something this summer. Join one of our summer groups that are starting up this next week. We have a jazz band, marching band, movie band, guitar class, music technology, mariachi band, country band, and garage band you can be a part of. You can take private lessons, which would be super cool. You can be in some camps, and there's auditions still for honor groups next year you can be a part of. So there's a lot of stuff still going on. Even though the summer is here and school's out, the music never stops. So feel free to contact me over the summer. I'm at songeре@district112.org. You can also feel free to follow me on Twitter at Songer Studio or at CMSW Band or at Eric Songer. We're on Facebook and Instagram if you look up Chaska Middle School West Music. And yeah, so and right here, my YouTube channel, Mr. Songer's channel, we actually just posted a really cool thing today. We did a cover of a Debbie Gibson song called Lost in Your Eyes, and we did it as a samba. And we did this a few months ago with her song Foolish Beak to enter our contest where we got to speak to Debbie last summer. And I'm really excited because Debbie's going to be in concert here on Tuesday at the X along with Tiffany, New Kids on the Block, Naughty by Nature, and Salt and Peppa. And so that'll be fun to see all of them. I'm also going to be in New York this coming week doing a presentation with my good friend Scott Prescott, who teaches over at Pioneer Ridge. We're going to be talking about popular music education and what we're doing here in the schools. So that'll be a fun time. And in addition to that, we're going to get to see some great music out there. We're going to go see Christian McBride and his big band. We're going to see Howard Jones, great 80s artist. We're going to see some shows. I'm going to go to see Aladdin when my kids get out there, so I'm looking forward to seeing the show, not the movie that just came out, but the show. But yeah, so it's going to be a good summer. Right here, instead of my weekly podcast, I will still be doing a weekly podcast, but it's going to be called Second Floor Therapy. I did this last year where I speak on issues in education, music, and maybe do a couple book reviews, maybe do a couple interviews. So it should be a fun summer. So keep checking out the podcast. We're just going to have a little bit different theme over the summer months. So thanks again for a great year, everybody. Hey, we're gearing up already for next year. Ms. Idell and I had some good conversations about some great plans for next year. Oh, and I didn't mention this. We made a big announcement this next year. The 8th grade bands are going to take a big trip to I forget what it's called now, but it used to be called the Kalahari Band Festival. But it's a band festival at the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells. And we're going to be going down, I believe it's the 3rd week of May, like the 20th, 21st, somewhere in there, and we are going to go down, do an overnight at Kalahari and perform, get a clinic, watch some other bands, hang out at the water park. It's going to be a really great time. So our 8th grade band members will have a chance to do that next year. Super stoked about that. So, all right, so more announcements coming as we know them, but a lot of great things coming up next year. So, all right, thanks for listening. Thanks for checking out the podcast all this year. Have a great summer.